Hello and welcome back to StriveMed with myself, Dr. Inam.
Dr. Zach.
And today we've got another interesting video, and this video is about longevity and aging in the most healthy way that you possibly can to make sure that you can make the most of your life. So without further ado, start the video.
The centenarian decathlon is a model that we use to anchor the marginal decade. So again, the marginal decade, last decade of your life. So what we want our patients to be able to do is identify, again, in great specificity, physically what they want to be able to do. And the physical manifestation of your marginal decade, we describe as your centenarian decathlon. So you might have lots of goals in that marginal decade. They might, you should hopefully have some cognitive goals. Hopefully you have some emotional goals vis-a-vis relationships. But when it comes to the physical goals, we want you to be very specific, and we start by saying, look, we have a menu of options, and we want you to at least be able to identify 10 that you want to be able to do. And again, these are very, very specific. And I think there are some of these that many people would have on their list, and there are others that are unique to individuals. So there are some that are on my list that most people wouldn't care for.
Like what would you say?
I'm sure most people wouldn't care that, I want to be able to pull a 50-pound bow back. I love archery. So, and currently I draw like a 75-pound bow, but I want to be able to still draw a 50-pound compound bow. I still want to be able to drive a race car to within about 5% of how fast I can drive it today. Paul Newman, up until a few months before his death, was still driving at this, almost at his best times. So, those are some really kind of weird esoteric goals for me. But then I also have much more generic goals that I think make sense. Like I still would want to be able to walk up 5 flights of stairs uninterrupted. I want to be able to walk down 5 flights of stairs. Those are require very different types of strength and integrity of the musculature. I want to be able to get up off the floor. I want to be able to sit on the floor for 20 minutes, and I want to be able to get up on my own power. Again, how often do you see somebody in their 80s that can do that? It's very, very unusual. I want to be able to pick a child up out of a crib. I want to be able to pick a child up off the floor. So there are many of these other goals that I have. Now, how does one go about doing that? Well, again, I think if you are listening to this, scratching your head a bit thinking, those sound really, really easy. How can those be goals? You probably haven't spent enough time around people in their 80s or 90s. Yeah. Those are staggering physical feats.
So as you see in this video, Peter Attia is discussing something called the marginal decade. He's discussing various goals that he has for himself in the last decade of his life, things that he still wants to do. And just to start us off, that was something which was astounding for me. He said that how many people can actually do that in their last decade, which is getting themselves up off the floor, unassisted. And then I was thinking, all of the things that we do on a daily basis, which require us to get up off the floor. And then my motivation for longevity, health optimization, and all of these different areas, it just skyrocketed. And I really wanted to share that with everyone. I was thinking things that we do, man,
Bro, we don't think about this stuff. Have you seen sometimes you're working in A&E frontline and you're clerking patients in, and you're speaking, you're, for example, a patient, an elderly gentleman or female comes in and they've come in with a fall, and usually I'll say 6 times out of 10 that person has been on the floor where they fell, not being able to get up, because some people don't have carers. Obviously, plans are put in place after that. People that need support, further support before they leave hospital, that's all done before they leave. But for those who don't have that, for whatever reason, prior to admission, they're usually on the floor for like 10, 12 hours, bro. 10, 12 hours. That's a long time, man.
Very long time. And there's a lot of health consequences which can occur from that as well.
As ramifications, there's health implications that occur from that. So I think as he's talking about it, you might be thinking, what? Getting up off the floor? There's going to be a time where you might not be able to do that for whatever reason. And he's trying to be proactive rather than... So there's obviously proactive and reactive actions, right? And it's something we've discussed before. You want to employ a proactive, you want to be very proactive in terms of your in terms of healthcare for yourself, your health development, right? So he's trying to be proactive and he's trying to prevent that from happening in that time by doing certain things, maybe exercises or trying to, in terms of longevity. He always talks about longevity. Attia is good for that.
Yeah.
Like he has loads of podcasts where he talks about sleep and all these different sort of health things that come into play that go towards development or longevity of sort of like what he's talking about now in terms of life and stuff. So, but yes, I mean, this sort of stuff people don't like. You might watch that video and think, oh, I can get up off the floor very easily. I can get up off the floor very easily, but that's not the case, man. I mean, you'll be surprised.
Bro, exactly. And I think another thing is that we have responsibilities, we as sons, as daughters, we have, parents as well. So when it comes to birrul walidain, serving our parents and making sure that, we can try to earn Jannah through, serving them as well. It's very important to think about this aspect as well, because again, as I said, it's simply put, we have a responsibility, Even the other day, one of our colleagues was discussing that his family, his mother was stuck in the bathtub for a very long time, after not being able to get out. So we have responsibilities to educate those around us, not just our families, wider community as well, because the science for longevity has improved a lot. And the older generation may not necessarily know all of those practices, the health practices. I'm sure that's something, if you'd like us, we're more than happy to touch upon in the future podcast, ways we can do this and achieve this. But I think first and foremost is gaining that understanding, is that have we actually gone out to educate our parents or our family on this? Have we, the wider community as well, especially from our background as well, maybe. I think there's a lot of work that can be done on this and a lot of education that needs to be done.
For sure. Yeah. But even this guy, I mean, I want to discuss that angle in terms of as a Muslim also. There is even more of a reason for you as a Muslim to be working on this sort of longevity or ensuring that you're still physically fit and active so you still have the sort of your health doesn't change too much. Obviously things come with age. There's a bit of degeneration and there's a bit of like muscle mass drop and there's a bit of like weakening of the muscles and the joints. Fair enough, but you don't want that to happen to you. You want to sort of contain that and do your bit to also like be as physically fit and active and healthy as you can be in your 90s, right, or 80s, whatever like life you get from Allah Jalla Ala. So my point is, there's even more of a reason for you as a Muslim to have that. Reason being is because you don't want you still as a Muslim have to do things like pray, obviously your salah, hajj, umrah, like fasting in Ramadan. You want to be able to do all those acts of worship. What's the point of living a life where you can't even do that, right? The purpose of the reason why we were created was what? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Like we didn't create mankind or jinn except to worship Allah, i.e. Allah. So if you are unable to do that because of health reasons, if you're unable to, for example, fast in Ramadan, that's not really, would you say that's a life of barakah, right? In terms of, I don't know.
Obviously you have those expiation if people can't do it for health reasons, but the main concept is that we cannot وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, destroy our own selves, our own bodies. We have to look after this. The reality is that it's amana, it's like a trust that we have to make sure that we eat the right things, do the right things, and just conceptually, right? First and foremost is that, I was just thinking about this the other day, right? This, if you imagine yourself, we've done a lot of exams back in the day, and I just want you to imagine that you're sitting there in the exams hall, and suddenly your pen just dries up. You're not able to write anything. You're looking around, you're seeing everyone writing away. Remember there's times when and like other people in the exam are writing so fast, you feel like, wow, you're behind and stuff. But if you can't get any refills on that ink, you're just sat there in there, and you can't add anything to your scale and stuff. that would be, in terms of any student's lifestyle, that would be like kind of a nightmare situation, like a stressful situation, right? And of course, I've mentioned the expiation if you have some health issues and or, you know, things like that, things which were beyond, you know, you couldn't do, you tried, you tried your best. But the thing is that, again, it's Darul Imtihan. We're here to be tested, to be tried. You want to make sure that you can do the maximum that you can. If you think about, he mentioned standing up from the floor, sujood, sitting there in tashahud, walking to the masjid, picking up your children, grandchildren. There's too many. Like, and even if it comes to like doing projects, setting up projects for khair and things like that. Doing khair and doing good, it doesn't only occur in your early ages. If you play your cards right, if you do things properly, you should be able to continue that for a long time. A lot of the Sahaba who made magnificent changes, yes, many were young as well. The reality is that it's for everyone. It's Darul Imtihan. It doesn't, the performance and your scale, your chance to increase your scale of goodness, it's lasting until you're dead. So whether you're old, whether you're young, that performance time is there. So there was Sahaba who did great things later on in their lives as well. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's prophethood was at the age of 40 years old. You know, so there's a lot of physical endeavors which they did as well throughout the time you study the seerah and things like this. Even nowadays, current example, right? You have, even if you, it's just interesting, right? You look at the different presidents who are out there, some of them more capable than others, right? And but reality is, like, if you look at, for example, Imran Khan, and you know, he, with regards to his position in Pakistan and the good things that he's done for the country, he's made all these hospitals and all of these things, his background started off as an athlete, so he was actually good to his body in the early ages, and then that didn't let him down later on. He was able to develop hospitals, develop so many good projects, help the poor people and things like this. So
how old is he?
Motivation. 71 right now.
So he's 71 now.
Yeah, 71.
And obviously he was leading the country. How long was he in power for?
Bro, it's not
that's the
don't ask me this.
All right, fair enough.
May Allah aid everyone, you know, all the countries around the world. Aid everyone, you know, some difficult times, difficult things going on all over. But the reality is that, as I said, he has done many good things, you know, in this time.
The reason why I was only going to say, like, man, it's extremely important. Like, and just to clarify what I was saying before, like, when I was mentioning, just to clarify, like, about, you don't want a life where you're unable to, like, you know, fast it. I'm like, you don't want that, but obviously, as you mentioned, you clarified, there's obviously expiation for that. I'm not talking about those people that I'm saying, fair enough, if you get into that position, like, there's no hujjah on you to do it, like, you've got an expiation, as you mentioned. But I'm saying, do you want to be in that position? Everybody would say they don't want to be in that position anyway in the first place. Everybody would want to do hajj by themselves with their own 2 feet. Everybody would want to fast Ramadan to gain reward. That's, at the end of the day, that's why we're here, right? So obviously, in order for you to do that, your body is going to be a means for you to do that, right? So your body needs to be in the best physical shape, inside and outside, right? Because a lot of people talk about the outside, innit? But no one, because the parameters of measuring how healthy, or for example, your body is on the inside is difficult. It's not something you can see, right? So, for example, right, and recently I've been tracking like my own health and stuff, right? And like I've got there's a scale, and on that scale, like a lot of scales have this nowadays. Like, it connects to an app and it tells you your water weight, so the amount of water within your body, your muscle mass, your BMI, your body fat percentage,
HRV, heart rate variability.
Things like that. So all of that stuff is not something you can see. Like, you can't look at someone and say, this guy is like 12% body fat. Sometimes some people can, but I'm saying, like, that's not something that's apparent. So people focus on what's apparent, just looking good. But how you could look good, or you could look seemingly good, but your body on the inside is finito. Your vessels are clogged up. Your lungs are bad. Like, I'll be honest, Yeah, this guy, bro, I'll be honest, yeah, he doesn't lead the best terms of like health wise. He could optimize his health a lot better. Like he smokes cigars, and we all know like the vaping alone is bad. I'm not even talking about vaping. I'm talking about what he does is like smokes like cigars. The damage, there's data to show damage of smoking, cigarettes, even vaping, all of this stuff. The damage it causes long term, and the risk factors, it's a risk factor for lung cancer, one of the biggest risk factors, one of the main risk factors. So my point is, your body, like, fair enough, people might say, oh yeah, he's an athlete, so his body fat percentage is low, and his body looks good because he was a whatever four times kickboxing champion of the world, right? However, how does his vessels look on the inside? Like, how does his body look on the inside? Does that make sense? So anyway, my point is there should be focus on both.
I mean, it does catch up to you. It's very interesting what you said on the inside.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the interesting concept, which is that even you can apply that inside aspect to spirituality as well. Oftentimes we see that people who work on their spirituality in the young age, they're focusing on their longevity, right? So they're able to continue those practices. You often find people who are able to bench, 120 kg, but they can't lift the blanket and Fajr time, right? And again, in longevity, we discussed that mercy, which is there, is that if you're unable to, due to health reasons which are out of your control, if you're unable to, in old age, do some practices, religious practices of worship, you can still be rewarded for that which you used to do.
Yeah.
Let's say now, later on, you're unable to do that. But in order to qualify for that, then you need to be doing it from early age. You need to be doing it consistently, because only then you'll be blessed to continue to do that, right, throughout your life. So the idea of longevity is not only for people who are reaching, the older years. It's actually for everyone. We need to make sure like that we're connected with the right things, we're doing the right things, and then hopefully those practices will be later on. But as I said, yeah, as you mentioned, internal, spiritual, physical, you have to tackle it from a holistic perspective.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll give more content on how to do that in the future. So, but at least just get the mind working at first, maybe realizing the importance of this first, and then we can, move forward with it, right? That was probably a big shock for many people today watching this.
Yeah, it was for me. It was as well. So,
all right. Until next time, that's it. StriveMed signing out.